Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Clearly, the emphasis throughout the last 2 months has been creating a sustainable plan, a plan that is for the long haul, and again, it is a starting point. I do want to go over some of the results so far because we wanted to make sure we made an impact immediately here. I do want to have Courtney McClure stand up. Courtney? Courtney is within the Sims department. He's been with the city 13 years. Courtney, thanks for your work. He's our diversity coordinator. That is our point person for outreach for Sims, and he has been working the community because the first couple of stakeholder meetings we had, nobody had a name for an African-American contractor. There was a big void in that. Well, I'm happy to say that through the collaboration of everybody involved in the meetings and Courtney's efforts out there, he's identified 12 African-American owned contractors that are doing work, mostly private work, neighborhood work, but now we can work with them to get them into the central vendor registry, see what barriers exist, and getting them to do city work and develop and grow as contractors. In all, there's 27 firms that we've identified when you look at goods and services, architecture, engineering services, and construction. Some of the barriers that we've asked Courtney to discuss with the different companies, why are they not potentially growing, or why don't they go after city work? He hears about the bonding and insurance requirements, lack of credit or access to capital. There is a historic perception that the city doesn't pay quickly. That is true from years past, but definitely within the last 4 or 5 years, we put systems in place to pay very quickly, and we know how important that is, not only to the general contractors, but especially to the subs and the subs of the subs. They cannot go long without being paid. Also, the risk of working as a sub-consultant or a subcontractor, and maybe they wouldn't get paid. And as you all know, we've talked before, we have systems in place now that make sure that when the general contractor's paid, the subs know that they get paid, and then they can make sure they're getting paid appropriately. We're also collaborating with Bexar County, SAS, and CPS to make sure that we're capturing all the different companies that they have in their vendor lists, so we have them in ours as well. We have some good opportunities for small businesses that are active right now for on-call type of work. One is the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering on-call service. Second one is a structural engineering, and the third one has to do with construction, sidewalk and curb installation, mostly within neighborhood settings. So those are excellent opportunities for small companies to get involved with the city, even as a prime. A lot of times you hear, well, I'm always a sub, I'm never a prime. This is a great opportunity to be a prime, and for the city to help them be successful and grow into that, and then be in a position to bid bigger work in the future. We do appreciate Tina Southern and her team in risk management. They have agreed that we will look more at the scope and specifically at each project when we set the insurance requirements, because every size project, every scope of project requires a little different insurance requirement. We don't want that to be unduly burdensome with a big insurance requirement on a project. And then we have had, of course, through the bond program, there was 87 prime consultants selected through that process, but that did mean that 24 were not successful. So we've already completed the debriefings with them to sit down, go through in writing, what they can do to improve in the next round. So it's a constant improvement process. We have negotiated 17 of those contracts so far since October 11th. We'll continue to get those negotiated, but we do have good news so far. The number of African-American businesses involved went from just 3 to 6, so we've doubled that, and we'll continue to work on that over the next coming months. We've also increased the number of African-American owned firms working on projects by 20%. So instead of working on 16 projects, now they're involved in 21 projects. We also have improved the Asian component because we are looking at all the different ethnic groups, and we did pick up West East Design Group as a prime consultant on 2 projects through the on-call process. We are excited about the partnership with UTSA, their small business program. We're going to enter into a memorandum of understanding with them. They have their PTAC program, Procurement and Technical Assistance Center, and they provide tremendous training that has great value to our private sector partners. So proposal writing, construction cost estimating, cost proposals, quality control management, a whole list of curriculum that they provide that's very important for especially these small companies that have really focused on just neighborhood isolated work. For them to grow, they need this kind of training to really develop their business plan. So we'll be working on that partnership. And then, as Mr. Dillard mentioned, the intern program. As we look to retain our young college students when they graduate, what better way to retain them but through an intern program, so that our engineering and architecture students of any ethnicity, as they're going through our universities and colleges, if they are able to work for a company in town here while they're going to school, get that experience, the chances are that they're going to be hired by that company and stay here in San Antonio. So we're going to continue to foster that. We do have 34 consultants here in town that have intern programs, and in our RFQs that went out to the consultants, we strongly encourage them to have interns on board. So we're going to continue to work with UTSA and the rest of the network of interns to really foster that and make sure that there's a good diverse mix of interns being used throughout their college careers. The Mentor Protege program is off to a very good start. Really, that's looking at mentor companies that can take on these proteges, new companies, small companies, and really help them develop in this region. So looking at administration, organizational management, operations management, and then they go through a training program, and then they're matched with their mentors. This cycle here that's shown in a graph, appreciate Ken Lowe providing this to us, but the bonding requirements, contractors, they can get a certain level of bonding, and then they show success at that level. They can go for a higher level of bonding, and really it's a process to access that surety credit, prove their capacity to succeed, have that track record, and then they can continue to move up and grow as a company. We do have a partnership with the nonprofit Accion to provide that bonding and credit assistance where they can get up to 20% support on the bonding and provide that to the contractors. The Fair Contractors Coalition has also been working with a consortium of banks here locally to provide access to credit as well. This is the results so far of the Mentor Protege program, of course, headed up by Renee Dominguez and Alex Lopez in the Economic Development Department. 27 mentors enrolled and 47 proteges enrolled. And you can see the breakdown of 8 African American businesses, 27 Hispanic, 8 women-owned businesses. So great start. Also a bonding assistance program. You can see the stats there too. So this is very important to have those seasoned, successful companies mentoring the upstart, the emerging companies. So next steps, we will be coming back in January for the official adoption of the action plan. This is a briefing today. We'll continue to implement this plan. As Mr. Dillard said, this is it's going to be a work in progress. We're going to continue to improve it, expand on it, and then we plan to report back quarterly as we give updates to you all on the 2012 bond program. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mike, for the presentation and for the work that you and your staff have put into this diversity action plan over the last couple of months. I also want to thank, of course, Porter Dillard and all of the folks from our community who helped to craft this plan. It's an important step forward. We'll have more comment from the council in just a few moments, but we do have several folks signed up to speak, so we'll take the input now. The first individual is Christopher Scott.